Here's the thing. Some guys pile up numbers, and some guys tilt the game without looking like the guy when you glance at the box score. That's exactly why the Kayson Boutte story is such a problem for the rest of the league. On paper, 33 catches for 551 yards doesn't scream superstar. But the detail that's not getting nearly enough shine is the part that keeps defensive coordinators up at night. Almost every time the ball hit his hands, it turned into something that moved the needle. A touchdown or a first down. Seriously, read that again. He wasn't catching passes just to get you to 2nd and 8. He was moving chains. He was finishing drives. That's also the Mike Vrabel stamp all over this roster. He looked at pieces people weren't sure about, demanded real work, and turned them into January weapons. Remember how there was talk in the offseason that Boutte could be trade bait? A lot of folks assumed he might get flipped. Instead of sulking, he went straight to the lab. Cleaner routes, stronger hands, better body control through contact. And the payoff is right there on Sundays. Drake Maye, MVP candidate Drake Maye, started looking for him when the whole stadium could feel pressure about to hit. Then you get the play that kind of captures what this team is trying to become. Against Houston, when the game needed calm, Maye drops one in over the defensive back, and Boutte pulls down that one-handed touchdown in the end zone. That wasn't just a highlight you replay for fun. That was a door slam. Those were the last points. That's the kind of moment where you pause and go, okay, these guys aren't blinking when the lights get bright. So, now the question that's already messing with Patriots Nation is pretty simple. Was that a flash? Or is this the start of a receiver who finally fits the Patriot way? Because if it's real, New England suddenly has a good problem that turns urgent fast. Contract, value, extension. You don't wait around for the market to wake up. You don't let a player with that kind of profile become somebody else's bargain. And if he gets more targets in 2026, with defenses actually treating him like a threat, those numbers can climb in a hurry. But let me say this, there's always a second layer. Can he handle becoming a real priority on the scouting report? Can he keep winning when the corner knows the ball might be headed his way? What I know is this. In the playoffs, you don't win with names alone. You win with guys who convert 3rd and long. Guys who win 50-50 balls. Guys who swing a game with one snap. And if Vrabel is praising Boutte the way he is, it's because he's seen things during the week that the public usually catches up to later. Think about that for a second. And that sets up the next piece, a move being floated outside Foxborough that already has people arguing. Because it's the kind of idea that can look brilliant or look reckless, depending on how you see it. While all of us are staring at Sunday and the playoff run, the last name Diggs popped back up, but this time on defense. Trevon Diggs is available. The Packers moved on from him after an extremely short stint, and before that, Dallas let him go late in December. When a player with Pro Bowl history, a league-leading interception season, and a massive contract starts bouncing around like that, your first reaction is, something's off. And yeah, there are reasons. But there's also an opening. From a cap perspective, it's pretty clean. Green Bay opened up more than $15 million, and there was no guaranteed money left. So if a team takes a look at this, they aren't buying the past. They're betting on a bounce back. And that's where the Patriots angle gets interesting, because Foxborough has never been scared to take a swing on a player with a complicated narrative, as long as the mindset is right. The biggest tension point is the knee. The torn ACL in 2023 changed his track. Since then, he hasn't looked like the same explosive guy. Minimal snaps, minimal impact. But when you roll back the earlier tape, you still see rare instincts, reading the quarterback, triggering downhill, that aggression that turns into a pick that flips a game. And even with the Patriots defense taking things up a notch in January, you can always use more playmaking in the secondary when you're trying to win at the highest level. Now picture the dynamic. Vrabel, a head coach who demands accountability on defense above everything, looking at a corner with star-level history and basically saying, "Cool, in this building, you don't live off your name." That can go great, or it can go sideways fast. That's why the fan base is split. Some people see a real shot at redemption. Others see risk, injury, and a player who hasn't been the same since that ACL. Timing matters, though. This defense has been trending up. The pass rush has been more consistent. The back end has been playing with more confidence. Adding someone like Diggs wouldn't have to mean asking him to carry the whole unit. It could be a role, specific matchups, controlled exposure, maximum impact. And when you're in the "we can actually get to the Super Bowl" stage, you start making calculated bets. Some miss. Some end up being the move people point to for years. So let me ask you straight. Do you want safety, or do you want the chance to steal elite talent at the right price? Hold that thought, because that whole risk versus responsibility conversation ties directly into the clearest message that came out of this building this week. There are weeks where a head coach gives you coach speak. There are weeks where he dodges, and there are weeks where he talks like a guy who knows one mistake ends the season. That was Vrabel this week. After what happened against Houston, acting like everything's fine would be borderline irresponsible. 5 sacks, fumbles, chaos in the pocket. And even with the win, that warning light stayed on. On WEEI, Vrabel's answer was short and sharp. No pep talk, no slogans. Protect the football, protect the quarterback, period. And when a head coach says it like that, he's not talking to the media, he's talking to the offensive line room. And be honest, the context matters. Will Campbell and Jared Wilson are rookies. There's talent there, there's upside, but the playoffs don't care about your learning curve. Against Houston, it almost cost them. Against Denver, you're not getting that kind of forgiveness. The Broncos' defense lives for confusion in the pocket. They live for strip sacks. They live for turning one bad decision into points the other way. If New England repeats the same mistakes, this run ends right there. It's also not fair to dump it all on Maye. He took 5 sacks. The ball hit the ground. He recovered some, lost some, and he still kept the team alive. That tells you he's got toughness and maturity. But it also screams risk. Over 19 games, including the postseason, he's been sacked 57 times. That's not sustainable if you're building around a franchise quarterback. So the focus this week has to be survival football. Communication, protection calls, getting the ball out, valuing the check down when the pass rush is screaming off the edge. It's not glamorous. It's how you stay alive in January. And that's the line between a team that looks good and a team that finishes. Because the scariest part isn't do the Patriots have talent. They do. The scariest part is the margin. One early fumble changes the entire script. One sack on 3rd down flips field position and flips momentum. Vrabel knows it. Maye knows it. The offensive line knows it. The question we can't answer until Sunday is whether that message was absorbed or just heard. Which is why the next piece matters so much, because it helps everything without needing to be the headline. There's a detail that got swallowed by the playoff chaos, but it might turn into a real turning point. Even in a win over Houston, the Patriots put themselves in danger over and over. 3 turnovers, 5 more sacks, 10 sacks allowed in 2 postseason games. That's not the profile of a comfortable team. That's a team living on the edge. And that's exactly why a potential return becomes a must, not a nice to have. If Mack Hollins is anywhere close to ready, he needs to be on the field. No debate. Because what he brings is bigger than a basic stat line. Yes, 46 catches for 550 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 28 first downs in 2025. Solid production. But the real value is what he changes structurally. He's 6'4", 221, the biggest receiver on this roster. And he's one of the best blocking wideouts you can have when you're trying to survive a playoff pass rush. Maye needs help. He needs bodies on the edge. He needs someone who can turn a broken play into positive yards. Hollins can win a contested ball, but he also helps your run game and adds that physical presence that makes protection and play action feel less like a gamble. In plain English, he helps cover the current weakness. Vrabel nailed that signing, and it wasn't just about what happens between the lines. Hollins matters in the locker room, teammates love him, and he's been in big games. He's delivered in January. Just go back to the AFC Championship last season in Kansas City. 3 catches, 73 yards, and a 34-yard touchdown. In the biggest moment, he showed up, and that's why this is so important. Activating Hollins doesn't mean taking away from Diggs or Boutte. It means adding a mismatch. It means giving Maye a bigger window in the red zone. It means having a better answer on 3rd and long. It means letting the offense breathe instead of holding its breath every snap. So this can't be emotional or conservative. This is playoff math. If he's cleared, there's no logical argument to keep him off the field. Every snap without him is another snap where you're asking Maye to survive pressure with less help than he should have. And when you stack all of this together, Boutte's leap, the Diggs conversation on defense, Vrabel's hard message to the offense, and the potential Hollins return, you can see what's happening. This team isn't drifting. It's making decisions like it believes it can take one more step. So let's land it. Everything connects. A young weapon becoming a real trust target. A high upside gamble that could be floated on the defensive side. A head coach drawing a line in the sand about protection and turnovers. And a possible return that changes blocking, changes matchups, and changes how this offense operates. The Patriots won despite their own limits, and that tells you plenty. Now, the question echoing through Foxborough is simple and ruthless. Are they going to clean up the details in time to take the next step? If you're with this run, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and jump in the comments. Which one of these decisions makes you feel more confident, and which one makes you nervous?